In today's episode, let's continue exploring the untold secrets of the Bible. I understand. You mentioned earlier about harmonizing the four Gospels to resolve their contradictions. So, may I ask, is the origin of the four Gospels, as you mentioned earlier, Luke being written by Luke? That interpretation is not accurate. In reality, the authors of the four Gospels are uncertain. Scholars generally do not believe that these books were written by the individuals they are attributed to, but rather by pseudonymous authors. Pseudonymous books refer to works written in someone else's name to recount their deeds. However, the Gospel of John poses the most significant problem, as scholars have been unable to determine its author to date, with the only clue being that it claims to be written by the disciple whom Jesus loved. Isn't it John? That question could take 3 hours to answer. Please don't go into that much detail. I want to ask, after harmonizing the four Gospels, does the Bible become like that? Because I understand that the Bible includes more than just the four Gospels. That is the first step. Then, around 180 AD, Father Irenaeus appeared. He was the first to propose the concept of the four Gospels. His reasoning was that because the earth is square. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach was talking about some people believed the earth was square during that time. The wind has four directions: east, south, west, and north, and the fact that churches have four pillars, as well as the presence of four living creatures around the throne of God in the books of Ezekiel and Revelation. It was believed that there should be four Gospels. That was the basis of the argument. Things were categorized into four because 4 is a perfect number. Therefore, the Gospels couldn't be more or less. Some were used less, while others were used more, leading to the establishment of the four Gospels. Listening to this, I personally think that the origin of the four Gospels also had a mission and purpose to systematically unify them. At that time, there were many denominations within Christianity, each with their own beliefs and concepts. If they remained scattered and not united, their power wouldn't be concentrated. Hence, there was a need for unification and harmony. Now, which year did that set of the Bible appear? Around the 4th century, there was the compilation of the Bible. Wow, the 4th century. Where did it occur? In Rome. So it was the Holy See. How did they compile it? What does the Bible contain? The main purpose at that time was to combat Arianism. What is Arianism? Arianism was the largest faction within the church at that time, and they were considered heretics. Arianism believed that Jesus was not fully equal to God, that only the Father was supreme, while Jesus was subordinate. This view was known as Arian Christology. Arianism eventually reached China and became known as Nestorianism. Is this heresy still present in the West today? No, it is not. Actually, when I heard it earlier, I didn't find it very subversive. If you say that Jesus is the Son of God, there doesn't seem to be a problem with considering yourself second to your Father. So why did the Holy See find it objectionable? By the 4th century, most of those subversive factions had already been eliminated in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries, leaving only a few sects with minimal disputes. To combat Arianism, Athanasius, a famous bishop, began preparations for a council called the Council of Carthage. The Council of Carthage officially determined which books would constitute the Bible, the one we use today. Can they be compared to the Holy See today? They are completely related to the Holy See. It can be said that they controlled the entire process. I want to ask, how did they write the Bible at that time? Their claim was that they selected the books based on the inspiration of the Holy Spirit received by each church father. They explicitly stated that they were not influenced by any authority or background faction. But in reality, they were influenced by power and background factions. They were also influenced by bishops like Athanasius, who was close to Constantine. But how many of them were there? Were they an organization? Well, they were not an organization. It mainly consisted of various church fathers, and whoever was a bishop had the authority. Earlier, you mentioned the Nag Hammadi library, and I've also heard of some Gnostic scriptures, as well as the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've heard of the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Thomas, and the four Gospels of Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John, among others. Now there are many scriptures available. They describe the deeds of Jesus or events mentioned in the Old Testament, such as Adam and Eve or the things of Moses, right? And now there is a need to select which ones will enter the Bible. How many bishops were involved in making this life and death decision? Well, not many, only 4. Then let's talk about which books they were debating at that time. First of all, the first book, the Book of Enoch, was not included in the canonical scriptures until today. But in the early years of Christianity, many church fathers considered it a precious treasure, looking at the background of the Epistle of Jude. For example, even the Ethiopian Orthodox Church considers the Book of Enoch as canonical. But why, at the Council of Carthage, was the Book of Enoch not included in the canon? There is a significant reason for that. At that time, Christianity wanted to establish a doctrine of original sin, based on the story of Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis. This theological concept greatly assisted the political power at the time. However, the Book of Enoch is an ancient tradition and it holds a different belief. It believes that the sin of humanity did not originate from Eve eating the forbidden fruit but rather from the sons of God mentioned in Genesis chapter 6. In the Book of Enoch, there is a story that says the highest God had 70 sons, and some of them came down to earth and took human women as wives, resulting in the birth of giants. This event eventually led to the flood, as recorded in the Bible. The Book of Enoch provides a detailed account of this catastrophic event. No, what you mentioned earlier was the flood in the Bible. I have heard about that, but you mentioned something about the sons of God coming to earth and having offspring with mortals, resulting in giants. I have never heard of such content before. It is indeed mentioned in the Bible. The Book of Enoch clearly describes the names of the sons of God and how they took action. From a modern perspective, one could say that these were extraterrestrial beings who used advanced weaponry, such as nuclear weapons, or conducted experiments involving genetic manipulation. They made deals with humans, including exchanging females, taking them for experimentation, and ultimately creating giants. It was a genetic engineering project that caused disruption in the Earth's system and ultimately led to the catastrophic flood. So, what you're saying now is that the content you mentioned earlier from the Book of Enoch describes events that occurred before the flood. That's right. That's the focus of the Book of Enoch. Is the Book of Enoch what you referred to as Gnostic? No, it belongs to the Jewish canon. That's all the time have for today's episode. Join us next time we continue exploring the untold secrets of the Bible. Stay tuned.